Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to the Record Players podcast, where we bring you the most objective opinion in music. Today, we're going to be looking at J. Cole's latest offering, The Off Season, and we're going to find out if it really is a Cole world out there. With all that being said, don't forget to like our video, subscribe if you haven't already, and talk to us. So leave a comment down below. We will read all comments. So all that being said, let's jump into it.
Damn. I was like, he's brought the production value up here, but no.
What?
God damn.
What? How dare you? Okay. Australia's worse off on the world stage by the fact this guy is on the Spotify charts, I tell you. It was going so well. I had such high hopes for you.
I'm gonna pass over to Dennis. You're an engineer.
I felt the spirit. I wouldn't be surprised if I got this off someone off the street selling their CD for like £5. How do I stop it?
This is crazy.
Cool. So let me give you a bit of background on J. Cole. He is the founder and CEO of Dreamville Records. Dreamville have been on the scene for a while, but recently they've signed Earth Gang and JID. JID, of course, we've talked about them. Talked about him numerous times. The last Earth Gang album was one of my 2019 recommended albums of the year, and we've talked about JID's Bruh remix. Really looking forward to his next offering. So that Dreamville roster is looking pretty good right now. But J. Cole, founder and CEO, of course, they're distributed by Interscope Records. He has 6 studio albums, the most noteworthy being Forest Hills Drive 2014, much lauded over. Since then, For Your Eyes Only, KOD, and now this. There's been a couple more as well before then, but for me, those are the ones I'm most familiar with. Those are the ones I've gotten into. So let's get into it. So how I wanted to ask you guys. I'll throw this to Hadi first. So what's your history with J. Cole? How do you think this album measures up with his back catalog?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I would say I'm definitely a Cole fan. I'm definitely, always kind of checking out music when he releases it. He's an artist I'd keep a keen eye on. I think for me, the albums you mentioned, Forest Hills Drive and For Your Eyes Only in particular, were probably my favorite peak Cole, especially For Your Eyes Only, which I know it wasn't actually like acclaimed that much, but no. I thought it was really good.
That's what I was going to ask you guys, because I always rated it and I just saw it getting slated everywhere. But I thought it was sick.
Well, because like I say, it was mellow. It wasn't really in your face, which I get people. Then people might have wanted hype tracks, which there are loads on this album. But I just loved it was it had a conceptual nature, right? It told one story about his friend who was a drug dealer and then got killed and had a family. Like, I just love that. I love any kind of concept album. I thought it worked really well. So, but yeah, no one else really fucked with it that much. Just to bring on this, I mean, this album is completely different to what he was doing back then. This album, it's a mishmash. I mean, there's still the songs where he kind of goes, he does have some songs where he's kind of talking about kind of introspective ideas, or there's even one song where he is referencing another story with his friends. I think it was the track Close 11, where he kind of apes that For Your Eyes Only style in terms of kind of telling a story about someone he knew that went down a different path. But aside from that, it's kind of all over the place, and I
think so. Yeah,
it took me a while to kind of get with it. Production's everywhere. There's no kind of linear story to it, which
Okay, there's a lot to dig into there. I mean, the production is one thing, and I do want to come back to that because there's freaking 16 producers that are credited on this album.
I'm not in the least bit surprised to hear that.
Yeah,
I didn't look into it, but that makes complete sense.
The main thing I want to say is when I listened to this through multiple times, I got the feeling it sounded like a mixtape to me. like a decent mixtape, but it didn't sound like a crafted, polished album.
Yeah,
didn't have the sonic cohesion that I expected from him.
Well, how much of that is to do, because you said this is very different. One of the reasons why this is very different, this is the first album he's done in a while with any features. Do you think that's like factored into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I hope he continues to work with features. I mean, I think it was 2018, 2019, he did loads of features, being a guest feature on other people's tracks, and he was just killing it. He was constantly killing it. I don't know if you guys heard A Lot with 21 Savage.
Oh yeah,
he's on 21 Savage is on here, and the beat's very similar. But I fucking love that track, man. Like,
yeah,
and Cole the beat was great, but Cole stole the show, and there were loads like that where he was just killing it. Obviously, he featured on JID songs, and I was like, really hyped. Cole was on such a great streak, but. He's got the bars, he's got the delivery, he's got everything here, but it's everything around it that I was so. And when you talk about features, there were a few that I liked, but you mentioned Dreamville. Where was JID? Where was Earthgang? There was Baz.
Where was your
I wouldn't say as well.
There was
like,
Baz, who's
I wouldn't pick out like the features as a pivotal like part of this album. Do you know what I mean? Like there's only five, maybe six across the whole album, and that's across like 4 tracks. There's not. It wasn't something that to me like really stood out as a key part of this. It seemed like more of a personal project to me than something he's gonna try to include other people with.
Yeah, no, especially when you go back to the documentary that he released a couple of days before he dropped the album. Yeah, it seems like from that, it seems like this is very much a personal thing for him. It sounds like this is sort of his swan song. It sounds like this and the next album really is him getting ready to quote unquote retire.
Dennis, don't talk to me about rappers retiring.
Yeah,
because it is never true.
How many times has Eminem retired?
Yeah. We all got stung with the Black Album. Never again.
What was that, Jay-Z?
Yeah. No rapper retires. Even like Logic, I thought with Logic, he had his retirement album. It was like less than a year, and I saw him do another verse.
Yeah, his retirement now. Isn't he like 15?
That's cold,
fucking
man.
Retiring.
Yeah, but yeah, don't talk to me about rappers retiring.
I will say as well,
I'm not going to argue that one
because you brought up the documentary. Like a lot of the kind of stuff that I heard him bring up in that was kind of, about his personal journey and how that influenced this album. And I can see that side of stuff as well. Like you're saying, it's got a bit more of the kind of introspective stuff, but it's also like got this other edge to it, which is from him saying how he wants to like up his game and he wants to push the stuff to the next level, and he wants to like, realistically, looking at how good Dreamville are at the moment, he probably wants to feel like he's competing with the artists that he's working with a bit more than he was before. I don't know what opinions you have about this. You may be a bit of a hot take for the three of us, but I don't think that he got to a high enough level on every track to justify some of the decisions in the album, because so many of the tracks on this album are like trap, Spitfire verses on top of it type beats, and they're like, constant like machine gun type rap things. If it was, because you mentioned him a few times, if there's someone like JID had these tracks, he would come with rhythm switch ups, he'd come with midline rhymes, he'd give it some like fucking some mad villain treatment. Like J. Cole has 100% put in some grind for this for the raps on this album, but it's nowhere near what I'd like it to be to justify the type of trappy, less interesting beats that he's got under a lot of stuff. So I don't know what your guys' opinion on that is as a take, but yeah, what do you think?
I was impressed, but I don't think this album is as good as the last album, KOD. I definitely don't think this album is as good as For Your Eyes Only. That's why I was like, okay, what do you guys think of his back catalogue?
Well, so he's doing more like theatrical, like lyrical, tricks on this album compared to something like For Your Eyes Only, but it falls flat because of the lack of cohesion. So for me, it doesn't matter if you're trying to like rap, just to be like, oh, I can rap and do this and that when there's no continuity. So I do think his rapping was pretty good throughout, and I think there were lots of tracks where he did switch up his flow, etc. Not to the level of someone like Jid, but who can do that? There's only a handful of people that can rap like Jid on a technical level.
But I think if you're surrounded by people that good, and like you're putting out a documentary saying how you're putting in, like you felt personally motivated to put in the grind, like that's what you should be doing is going for that sort of level stuff.
Yeah, I mean the other weird thing is numerous tracks, 3 or 4 tracks where he goes with the kind of auto-tune, singy, rappy thing, and he just doesn't work well for him. But to me, it always sounded like he was kind of trying to duplicate a modern sound without it being genuine, especially like, I noted that on track 2, Amari, the first track where that kind of happens, and it just didn't sound right. I mean, it was you could even see it. I don't know if you guys got the same thing, but the track number 7, Pride is the Devil with Little Baby, I could even tell like it switched to like Little Baby. The transition was smooth between those two. I fucking loved how Little Baby came in. But you could tell like Little Baby, he's not a rapper that I'm going to listen to. He doesn't make music that I'm going to listen to, but he does that style and it fits so well.
Mm-hmm.
He does what he does, really well. And Cole, comparatively, it's like, you need to be in your own lane. At least that's what I thought.
One thing about that particular song is it immediately, that Little Baby verse, it kind of reminded me of that Polo G song that we did during the Spotify Top 10. I can't remember what it was, but I remember we were saying
that song was trash, bro. Rap style,
exactly. Yeah. But it sounded, that's the one, and he sounded like he was he was offbeat. So he was doing that thing where he wasn't quite on the one.
Oh yeah,
just an eighth offbeat, but he wasn't doing it right. He wasn't doing it properly. But Lil Baby does it in a way that it actually works. It's that rap singing. But offbeat, but he does it like this is actually masterful. It's like you actually what we said during the review of the Polo G song was, okay, he's doing something a bit weird, but he doesn't know
he's doing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Lil Baby.
I gotta give my props.
I feel like Lil Baby's becoming the dark horse of features for us, because every time he comes up, all of us are like, I wouldn't listen to him. I wouldn't search out his album. But he kills this verse though. He's good on this track, but I wouldn't listen to him. It's not for me. It's not for me. But he's good here.
He's the perfect small doses rapper. I'll hear him on a verse, and he's 2 for 2 because I'm going off this and the Drake feature, which he also kills. But am I going to listen to a whole album? But no. I'm happy for him to kill a verse.
Yeah, I ain't mad.
Yeah, he's this generation's Twister.
Well, that's a big claim.
Love him on a feature.
That's a big claim.
To be fair, I was actually listening to a Twister song, Adrenaline Rush, the other day. So bit harsh from Twister there.
Speaking of somebody who put in the grind and took their literal rapping game to the level where no one could contest them. You know what I mean? Like, that's, if you're coming out with a documentary saying I'm up in my game, I'm up in my levels, I'm expecting you to be the nouveau Twister.
Do something way off base.
So you sound like you got some big problems with his. You just from a pure rapping perspective, in terms of the technical approach or whatever, Jack. It sounds like you had a problem with it, because that was one element that I didn't have an issue with on this album. It was the other things, but it's a sticking point.
His delivery was nice, and he had some good rhythms, and good interplay between the different use of vocals and then the background vocals and then the lead rap and stuff. But what struck me was that because I knew he was going for this sort of I'm developing my craft kind of thing. What always stuck in my mind, always kept coming back to, is how I'm not gonna say almost all, most of the verses on the album, they'll fall into a rhythm, and fair enough, if you're rapping, you got 4 bars, you might have 4 bars of the same rhythm, that's fine. But I feel like most verses you could put down to a ba ba da da ba 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 and you're like, it's quite a simple rhythm, and like his delivery is on point. Usually what he was actually saying was on point as well, but it's like there's another level, like so close to where he is, but he just never like crashes through that ceiling to get there for me. I don't know, do you disagree?
No, I see what you're saying. He's got a ceiling that some other rappers wouldn't have, even though he might present himself as if he's above that ceiling, if you know what I mean.
And like I'm by no means a hater. Yeah, like I've liked his previous albums. Like I say, I've stood up for Your Eyes Only in many a debate. But yeah.
So you're saying that some of the flows are a bit cookie cutter?
Yeah, I think it's like they're not bad ideas. It's not like Megan Thee Stallion where we're like ping ponging between something that's god awful and something that's good. But it's just that he's got to something that's a good level, and it's almost like you could if he'd written the whole album and then gone back with a super critical ear and gone, where can I improve? Where can I add an extra rhythm? Where can I delay something? Where can I syncopate something else? Where can I make my lyrics switch up, like hit harder? This album could be a next level album. But I also agree with Hadi, like the jumping around of styles and like genre influences over the different tracks does not benefit the album. It makes it sound like a mixtape, which does detract from like that kind of story of the come up and like all the sort of lyrical storytelling that he's doing is kind of detracted from, because the next song will be 100 mil, which by the way is the worst hook in my life. I'm so glad that I never have to listen to that again.
But that was the other thing that was weird as well. Like I found like that even his choices were weirdly placed with the type of beat. So there'd be like trappy beats where he would be like on a lyrical miracle, like straight rap and shit. But then there'd be like boom bappy old school tracks where he'd do the modern auto-tune, like singy hybrid thing. And it's kind of like, what? It was just a real weird mishmash of styles.
I think J. Cole is that kind of guy who he's necessarily going to have a weird mishmash because he is from that old school. I mean, his first mixtape, I think it's the first mixtape, but was what, 2006, 2007? So that was like when he was just coming out of university. So he's been in the game from like the 2000s, like the early aughts. Yeah. And, you know, back then, there's a track, I think it's the first track even, 95 South, where you hear Lil Jon in the background, and then it goes directly into Amari, which is Timbaland produced. It's like you get these throwbacks to those early aughts.
That first track was hard. Just sort of say on 95 South, that was how you start an album, I thought. That gave me like you said, like mid, early 2000s kind of, I don't know, like some it sounded like some I don't know, like some Just Blaze beat that you would have made for like Jay-Z or something. That got me hyped.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Get your clear up, get your clear in there. That was crazy.
I hear what you're saying. I was a bit conflicted because some of those Forest Hills Drive, I'm gonna go out with a hot take here. Forest Hills Drive is my least favorite album that he's released recently.
What?
I'm not compare that to KOD, compare that to For Your Eyes Only. I would go.
It's better than KOD, dude.
Nah. Yeah. Here's the reason why. Because Forest Hills Drive to me is much more of that sort of mid to late aughts sound. It's not so much got those modern like different types of flows, like different types of fast flows that are incorporated in.
I thought I was going to have the hot take of the episode talking about this album, but Dennis has just fucked that plan. How can you, like, as an advocator of For Your Eyes Only as well, for the third time this episode, it's definitely not as good. Like if I had to stack them in order of like actual quality, you got Forest Hill, For Your Eyes, this KOD, I think. Just like
I would go
we're talking about.
For Your Eyes, KOD, this, and then Forest Hills. And I'll tell you why. I have tried many, many, many times to get into Forest Hills Drive, and I can't. I mean, there is a
Have
few,
you done it on a journey?
There's a few tracks. Say again?
Have you listened to it like while you're traveling somewhere?
I think I might have, because I must have listened to it on a train or something.
Yeah.
Where I've literally had like an hour to just sit down with headphones and.
You'll never like it then. That's it.
I don't think I've tried. I've honestly tried.
He's technically become a better rapper, I think, but he's lost, or at least on this, he's lost the ability to compose an album that I think's, you know, enjoyable from back to front and cohesive, like I said, which is the main thing that detracted from my enjoyment of this one.
So you thought what, Forest Hills was more cohesive?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, that and For Your Eyes Only, they're cohesive projects. You know, through KOD it kind of did, but it still had like a kind of thematic core, and I feel like the sound was similar through it. And this, it's just everywhere. Like I said, that mixtape feeling.
I got to be honest, like the first thing that popped into my head after my first listen through was, oh, you get a lot of variety on this album. But I thought that was kind of a good thing. I thought that would keep you coming back because it's got that mixture, like you say, of that early aught sound and these new techniques. Even though I appreciate what you're saying, Jack, it does sound cookie cutter, and I do think, I don't know, I'll put this to you, Jack. Like, yeah, like you said, he's got freaking EarthGang, he's got JID on the roster. Surely he would have given them a listen through. And
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Notes. Yeah,
I think there'll be definitely, you know, there's something that's happened. But I'm also thinking, like, if you are JID and EarthGang, even if you're like you're friends with them and you'd hang out any day, how much do you want to tell your boss that his album needs work?
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like if they come to you for a feature or something, and you're like, okay, like I'm gonna shit on this track, and you just like decimate them, and then like let them see it themselves, that's something else. But if you sit down and you're like if you're JID and you sit down and you listen to some of the fast bars on this, and you're like, yeah, that's cute, yeah, no, I was doing that a couple of years ago. Like you can't be doing that to the man.
Yeah.
let me say something else that kind of adds to the sense of like disjointment on this. Like half of the I don't know if you guys noticed, half of the tracks are under 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
Again, the only thing that I get from that when I see the lack of musical cohesion is I think it needed some more time in the oven.
Yeah, and
so, you know, a couple of tracks, it's just one verse and a hook.
I noticed something strange, and once I tell you guys are going to be like, what the fuck? Okay, Amari has this hi-hat thing where it's like it's a weird hi-hat. It's like it's got like a bar of 16th notes, so it would go it's got this like bar of 16th notes in it. It might have been Timbaland's idea, and I did a very bad impression of it, but it's got a bar of 16th notes. Interlude, track 9, exactly the same thing. And I've never heard this like hi-hat pattern in any other track before. So it sounded like he just copy-pasted from Amari to Interlude.
Again, there's so much trap influence, particularly in the mixing. Obviously, like we're talking about the hi-hats, so like that's a key feature to pull out, but like in the mixing as well, because the tracks that instantly grabbed me were the ones where you immediately felt the bass kick, like that low end coming in, and then like hi-hat sitting somewhere in between bass and snare in terms of volume, like right. That's the one that grabbed me.
I think my life had a pretty like a distorted 808 in the background.
There were like there were quite a few, to be fair, where I was like, that's what tired me out while I was listening to it as well, because my emotions just kept being like, it's one of these beats. No, it's nice. Oh no, it's one of these again.
Right. Yeah, so it's almost like you've heard this type of thing before.
Yeah, I'm not a massive trap fan, like in terms of just like general the genre as a whole. There's obviously some like standout artists, but yeah, in terms of like that method of production isn't like the best for me, and there's a lot of it on this album, unfortunately for me.
Right. Yeah, I'm not the biggest trap fan either, to be honest.
When it does stray away from that, I think it does do well. Like a track that stood out for me, probably my favorite beat of the album. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but track 8, "Let Go My Hand."
Yeah,
it was a lot softer, mellow, and there was like a flute thing. I always fuck with a flute whenever I hear it in hip hop. But yeah, that was like exactly what I wanted production wise, and I wish there was more.
That was Kendrick. Some fucking some Dre back in the day shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got some Kendrick vibes from that. Which Good Kid was Dre produced, wasn't it?
See, I thought that it was like a Kanye Late Registration. That was the thing that I heard in it. But you know, obviously it's all shit that we all love, right? So
yeah, that was definitely that was one of the tracks where I'd be like, that because he like in my mind, I've not listened to it for years. I might be wrong, but in my mind, that's the forestry, for your eyes vibe. That like more relaxed like.
Definitely
giving more sonic space to the instruments, like having the flute come in for just like the end of the 4-bar, a little bit of lick here and then out and then 4-bar again, giving you a lot of low end of the stuff, and then the lyrics sit nicely in a space and by themselves. Like that was that I love that track. And then we went straight after back into the like
yeah. He must have thought like my mindset is maybe he put a track on that for fans that did like those older albums, like we've said we've done, at least me and you, Jack. But then maybe he had the fear of people being like, "Oh, your music's boring," which is why he did the trappy stuff and had like the autotune. Which is it's a shame if that's the case, but an
it's
argument
definitely
could
the
be
modern
made.
style as well. So like, there's what better way to kind of get people to listen to your stuff than to show that you're growing and developing as an artist than to incorporate whatever the modern style of your genre is.
Yeah.
But he's one of the top 3 biggest rappers in the game. He doesn't need to follow that trend.
This is true. I was so surprised going through Wikipedia. So many of his albums have been number ones. Like so many.
Yeah, he's going to sell no matter what.
But
yeah, sorry, what were you going to say, Jack?
He did get 69 million listens to the Climb Back in like, what's it been, a week?
69. Nice.
But yeah, like the least listened to track on this album has almost 11 million plays.
Wow. Yeah.
And like in a time when not everyone's necessarily listening to albums anyway, like that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. But there's a massive disparity between, you know, what people are listening to and what they're not.
Especially considering, I guess you can think of him as an old dog at this point, because you could argue that there's a bit of a sea change going on. There's a bit of a handover to these newer artists, newer, younger guys that are coming up, like Lil Baby.
Such a dumb name.
That fucking name.
Oh,
yeah.
The baby names.
Every single time I hear it, I pause and I go, huh? Oh. It's just not, yeah. Yeah.
Before we go on, I just wanted to touch on the next album, The Fall Off, which he's alluded to. In fact, he dedicated the last 5 minutes of the 12-minute documentary that he made on this album. He dedicated it to talking about how great The Fall Off is going to be.
That album better be fire, because if it's not, if it's a dud and it's got that name, he's going to get trashed.
Yeah, because he's been saying that he's been sitting on tracks.
I mean, look, maybe that's where all the good tracks with Dreamville went, right?
Yeah.
If
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
I want you on 50% of them.
Yeah, if this is he wrote this album first, and then he took it to Dreamville, and they were like, okay, do this, and instead of changing this album, he just made a new one. I'm here for that album. If that's what he's done, I'm there for it.
What he should have done, what he wish he'd have done is he would have, this album could have been his trap album, completely just full of bangers, and then stuff like Let Go My Hand on that album, and have it split that way. That I thought would have been cool.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do with styles between the two of them.
Yeah,
and if they treat it more like a double album, or if it's if it does feel like 2 releases.
Yeah,
because is it coming out this year? Is that
so.
Yeah, okay.
I think so, because it's still early on in the year. It's early on. It's month 5. We're halfway through the year almost. But I wouldn't be surprised if it came out this year. And I'm going to go out the limb and say Jack is right, that it is going to be that it has been split up with Dreamville Family on that album, and this album is a bit of like a cast off tracks. I don't want to say cast off. Okay, here's what makes me think that. No Dreamville features, first of all.
No. Bass is on his label, and he's on 3 tracks.
Okay, yeah. And
Bass is trash anyway, so it doesn't really count.
Very few Dreamville features, very few Dreamville producers as well. Of the 16, like only like 1 or 2 are roster Dreamville producers. So that makes me think like, maybe tracks are being saved, maybe features are being saved for the follow.
Maybe.
I mean, you'd hope so. If he's pitching this as his swan song, and he's actually like, in his mind, he's done after this album, you'd be absolutely insane to not get as many features as you could from the thing that you created on your final album.
Yeah, especially considering they are like, Atlanta is the center of modern hip hop right now, and Dreamville is sort of like one of the flags that's being raised in Atlanta, sort of holding the fort down. So yeah, you definitely want to get some of those guys on a track. Cool. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts that you guys had before we move on to the top 3?
No, I'm good.
I covered it. Yeah.
Cool. So let's get into the top 3, and right off the bat, I'm going to upset both of you guys, because my number 1 was My Life. Love 21 Savage. I was such a huge Savage fan. I didn't even care when it came out that, okay, if you don't know, 21 Savage was deported.
Yeah, I remember that. That was wild. Because he's from the UK originally, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's a complicated story. He was born in the UK. He moved to Atlanta when he was like 12, but he never got a visa, and he overstayed his welcome. Jeez. And he then went on to have a rap career.
Yeah.
And then freaking immigration came knocking and deported him.
I remember like seeing all these memes, like he'd be like with like tea and biscuits and shit, like just all these like all these British memes, like when it happened. It was wild.
It was a joke at the time. The most hilarious thing was, I think it was like Demi Lovato or someone was like, "Oh, I am loving all these. Like my favorite thing right now is all these 21 Savage memes." And somebody messaged back like, "Hey, you know, this guy's actually going through a hard time. We weren't all laughing at you when you were in rehab." She was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't making fun of anyone getting deported." It's like, you know, you actually were, weren't you?
Dude, Dennis, thank you. When we're done with this episode, I'm gonna look through those memes again. And
it was a hilarious time, but it was a shame as well because Savage, he was so unique. He was doing this like different style, like you said, like a lot. I
fucking love that track.
That track is fire. His album is pretty fire as well. I Am What I Am or something like that.
And that is English.
His album, Good Day, Sir.
The thing is, I don't know. He's Atlanta. He's Atlanta. He went to high school there. He started his career there. He's pretty much Atlantean.
Yeah, give that motherfucker a green card. Come on.
Basically. So
I mean, surely he can though. Like deportation's not like exile.
Yeah, exactly. He can still come back, and I'm sure he's
got the money for it. He's got the connections for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you wanted to go back, he can make it back.
He's a celebrity. He has different roles to the rest of us.
I will say though, just because you said it might be a bit of a hot take for that to be one of your tracks, I rated that track as well.
It was one of my top 3.
No, it wasn't.
It's not my top 3, but I did rate it.
It was Amari. Amari was also one of my top tracks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
Which I knew you guys directly said you were not a fan of.
That's a hot take. Yeah.
And
that is an incorrect opinion.
Yeah, it was for those hi-hats. I loved the hi-hat with the 16th notes in there. You know,
listen to any track playlist.
Well, you think that's a common thing?
Yeah.
I'd like to quote Big Crit and saying, "Will you get girls with the high hats? Never." I'm here for that subwoofer, man.
I just hated his use of auto-tune on that track.
Fair play. And the last was "Let Go of My Hand" with those Kendrick vibes. So Jack, top 3.
Big fucking track. Yeah, I had "Let Go of My Hand" as well. Just super nostalgic style for him. He used his real voice, which was fucking revelation. Who knew that after 8 albums or whatever it is that he actually had a good voice for rapping? Didn't need to start putting all these weird effects on it. Yeah, but it was really nice. Like I said, I love the drum mixing on some of those tracks, and the kind of jazzier influences were cool too. I liked the Climb Back as well, which is I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the massive. Yeah, that's the one that I would, if I crowdsourced my answers, that would be my number one. Yeah, it's just big. Liked it. One massive. Oh no, this isn't one massive list. Yeah, just like the storytelling aspect of it. But is it you said it was close earlier? I thought it was close, but whichever one it is, track 11.
Yeah, I might fuck that up.
It's I think he says close in the song. But yeah, like get nice power from the kick drum. Like the mix is so much nicer. The fact that it's one fat verse on a rap album where he's meant to be demonstrating his skill, I was like, fucking finally. And the penultimate track, you've realized that if you're gonna like have your lyrical ability as your selling point, you need to spit some bars, and you need to do it for like an extended period of time, and you need to have different flows in the same verse. Yeah, that was good for me. That's like a culmination of the ideas he'd been trying over the album. I thought it worked well.
Cool. So I got 95 South. I thought it was a really good opener. Again, not necessarily what I would have wanted from Cole, but like when I was re-listening, it's just it got me so hype, and it was cool to have something that had like a authentic mid 2000s kind of vibe. Nothing too serious. Plus, I love the "put an M on your head, you Luigi brother" now line. That was pretty funny.
I did expect it to be about Dragon Ball Z. Like I was expecting a Majin Buu reference when he put an M on his head, but I'll let it go.
Looking too deep into that one. Then also I got My Life, the 21 Savage track. I mean, like I said, it for me, it's just going to be like a lot part 2. The beat sounds the same. Obviously, he's got 21 Savage. The other guy, Murray, who did the hook, he fucking killed it as well, like singing on that track. And then Let Go of My Hand for all the reasons we've already talked about.
Nice
stuff. Quite a wide range of top 3s there, actually. But see, that's part of the reason why I was saying there's variety on this album. So, well, we all like "Let Go of My Hand," but with the variety, it'll probably keep you coming back because there'll be other things on offer. But I guess
I think I'd listen to tracks from this album on a playlist, but I don't think I'll come back to it as an album.
I'm not going to listen to it as a full album, and I do listen to Forest Hills Drive and For Your Eyes Only, on occasion throughout, like from start to finish.
Right.
Let's
put this album on our score list. Whenever you're ready, Jack. Cool.
Apparently copied something else in between.
So we're going to score this from GOAT to trash. So GOAT being, mind-blowing, the greatest of all time. Fire, below that is Fire, obviously quite self-explanatory, being Fire. Backpat, you made an album, well done. Participation Ribbon, slightly below Backpat, you made an album. And then Trash below that.
He made an album, maybe you shouldn't have.
Maybe you shouldn't have, yeah. So to give you an idea, last week's album that we did, Gojira Fortitude, we unanimously came to the, well, we didn't unanimously, but we democratically came to the opinion of a backpack for that effort. Fire album examples: King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards LW, and within the rap genre, we've got Roadrunner New Light by Brockhampton. Thank you, guys.
As much as I love that album, that's a terrible name.
It is.
That album title.
You could have had any 1/3 of that album title. Any third you like to pick could be a great album title.
Maybe it was made by committee.
That's the problem.
They do have 200 members to vote for stuff. So
yeah.
But that was our last.
Everyone picks a letter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Name an album by Countdown. Yeah. Roadrunner New Light is our only GOAT so far. Now, on early listens, I actually thought this was a GOAT.
That would have been a
GOAT.
fucking hot take. If you'd come into the episode with that fucking opinion, holy shit.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Can clearly see that's not going to go over
God
well.
damn.
But on further listens, it did go down in the pecking order. So
Jesus.
For me, I will keep coming back to this album. Will I listen to it back to front again? Probably.
Oh.
But I do not think it's his best effort in the last 6 years, 7 years. So I'm gonna give this album a back pat. It has gone down quite a bit.
That's a big
jump.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
It's leapfrogged being fire. And you're like, it's okay. You made an album.
A high back pat, low fire.
Dennis, I haven't met this other personality of yours. Hello.
Right, so it's back pat for me. Hattie, where would you put this?
This is a hard one because it's probably a back pat in terms of quality, but from my expectations of like his features over the past few years and the other things that he's dropped out, I was expecting a lot more. So I'm even tempted to maybe ribbon this.
Really?
Because of my expectation.
What I'm like hesitant about putting it somewhere because of is the next album release. Because if we put this in backpat, if we put this in ribbon, and the next album comes out and it's just a better version of this, like, have we been harshed by expectation? Probably not. But if we put this in ribbon, the next album comes out and it's only marginally better, like,
yeah,
we might have sort of be screwing ourselves in the future.
Yeah, I think I'm probably being too harsh by giving it a ribbon. I'll probably say backpat's fair, but I was disappointed.
Sounds like it. So disappointed. You're like, yeah, you made an album. Well done. Here's a participation ribbon.
It's like an angry ribbon when you slap that shit up.
I would say, right. Let's be honest. Megan Thee Stallion is the best of the two ribbon albums that we have.
Yeah.
This is better than Megan Thee Stallion, and if it didn't put me to sleep while I was listening to it, it's better than Bicep. Like, I would feel quite harsh about
Dennis's winter album.
Yeah, the winter album. Yeah. If it doesn't put me at fireside with some marshmallows while I drift off with my cocoa, it's not as bad as Bicep.
Sitting next to 21 Savage.
But yeah, so like, I would say this quite happily sits somewhere below Gojira, Greta, but above Drake and Bungle, like, for me, in terms of like a whole album and, you know, collective creativity and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is above Drake, but probably below Benny.
We put Benny in fire. It's definitely below Benny.
Yeah, it's definitely not as good as Benny's.
I've locked it in.
So it's a backpack then.
We've gone back, Pat. Yeah.
Let's go back, Pat.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
I will probably soon have to divide this into an upper and a lower tier. For
upper back Pat and lower back Pat.
Yeah. Just for space. Because I was thinking as well, we should do like 6-month resets or something. We should have started in January and then had like the first half of 2021, second half of 2021.
Yeah, archive something like, so snapshot it, archive it, and start from scratch. Good idea. Right. Any final thoughts, guys?
Don't fall off. Don't fall off, and we know you ain't retiring.
Yeah, don't lie to us. Yeah, we're expecting an album 2026 for sure. So
call Jid. Get Jid on the phone.
You know that the meme format was like, "Call Jid, he's crying." I feel like everybody's going to Twitter about J. Cole and just telling the rest of Dreamville, just like, phone J. Cole, he's not okay. He needs your help right now.
Holler at your boy.
This isn't just to preface this isn't like I don't know, Kanye 2020 levels,
Kanye did no wrong in 2020.
I felt the spirit, so anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I didn't actually say it, but I've been Dennis. I'm here with Jack and Hattie. We have been the Record Players. Please follow us on social media at TRP_pod. And like I said, let us know what you think. Have a conversation with us.
Yeah, find us in the comments if you think you're hard enough.
If you think you're hard enough, we will come at you. Expect it. But yeah, thanks for listening.